In a quiet village, cradled by endless fields of golden wheat, life moved with a gentle, happy rhythm. For the hard-working villagers, this golden sea wasn't just a crop. It was their livelihood, their hope, and their greatest treasure, nurtured with sweat and care throughout the year. The air hummed with contentment, and every sunset painted the fields in hues of fire and gold, promising another day of peace. One warm summer evening, as twilight settled over the land, a shadow of mischief crept into the peaceful scene. A group of boys, their hearts full of youthful folly and their minds empty of consequence, tiptoed into the fields. Their laughter, sharp and careless, cut through the evening calm. To them, it was just a game. A harmless prank. One of them struck a match, and a tiny flame licked at the dry, brittle stalks of wheat. They watched, giggling, as the fire caught. But what started as a tiny spark of mischief quickly roared into a monstrous beast. The dry wheat was a perfect fuel, and within moments, the fire began to race across the field, devouring everything in its path. Flames leaped high into the darkening sky, painting it with terrifying streaks of orange and red. A thick, choking column of black smoke billowed upwards, a grim signal of disaster that could be seen for miles. Panic erupted in the village. The joyful evening turned into a nightmare. Villagers, their faces etched with horror, spilled out of their homes. Their life's work, the very symbol of their prosperity, was being consumed by a merciless inferno. Shouts of fear and despair echoed through the air as the fire spread with terrifying speed. From a distance, a young boy named Aalizil saw the ominous glow against the night sky. His heart pounded in his chest, not weak fear but with a surge of adrenaline. Aalizil was known for his kind heart and his sharp mind. While others were frozen in panic, he understood the gravity of the situation instantly. There was no time to waste. He didn't hesitate. He started running, his small legs pumping as fast as they could, not away from the danger, but towards it. As he ran, he shouted at the top of his lungs, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Fire! Fire in the fields! Everyone, wake up! We need water!" His urgent cries pierced the night, snapping the villagers out of their stupor and galvanizing them into action. Men and women grabbed buckets, pots, and any container they could find, forming a desperate chain from the village well to the burning fields. They fought the fire with a fierce determination, their faces grim and smeared with soot. The heat was intense, the smoke blinding, but they didn't give up. Amidst this frantic effort, Aalizil's sharp eyes caught a flicker of movement near the edge of the inferno. Huddled in the shadows, paralyzed by fear and the sheer scale of the destruction they had caused, were the mischievous boys. Their earlier laughter was replaced by wide, terrified eyes and pale faces. They had started a game and unleashed a monster they couldn't control. Aalizil saw their fear, but he also saw the truth. He knew they were responsible. While the adults were consumed with fighting the blaze, Aalizil made a crucial decision. With a courage that belied his years, he slipped away from the main group. He moved silently, using the chaos as cover, and circled around the terrified boys. He appeared before them like a shadow, blocking their only path of escape. They flinched, expecting anger, perhaps even violence. But Aalizil's voice, when he spoke, was not filled with rage. It was firm, steady, and heavy with the weight of the disaster unfolding behind him. "Look," he said, pointing to the roaring flames. "Look at what you've done. This isn't a game. This is our village. This is everyone's future. You're burning." His words were simple, but they struck the boys with the force of a physical blow. The reality of their actions crashed down upon them, and the weight of their guilt was suffocating. Just then, the village elders, drawn by the commotion, arrived at the scene. They saw the fire, the frantic villagers, and then they saw Aalizil standing before the trembling group of boys. The truth was undeniable. Caught and faced with the consequences of their thoughtless act, the boys broke down. Tears streamed down their soot-stained cheeks as they confessed everything. Their apologies were choked with sobs of shame and regret. They understood, finally, the deep and painful wound they had inflicted upon their own community. With the culprits identified and the entire village now united in a single purpose, their efforts to fight the fire working shoulder to shoulder, they battled the flames through the night. The crackle of burning wheat slowly gave way to the hiss of water on smoldering embers. As the first light of dawn broke, the fire was finally extinguished. A large patch of the field was a blackened, smoking scar, a painful reminder of the night's events. But thanks to Aalizil's quick warning and the village's collective effort, the majority of the precious wheat fields had been saved. A wave of relief and exhaustion washed over the villagers. They stood in the morning light, looking at the saved fields, and then at each other, their faces filled with gratitude. That evening, the village square, which had been a place of panic just hours before, was now filled with a different kind of emotion. The villagers gathered, not in fear, but in celebration. They lifted Aalizil onto their shoulders, cheering his name. He wasn't just a boy anymore. A was a hero. His quick thinking, his courage, and his strong sense of right and wrong had saved them from a far greater tragedy. The naughty boys, standing at the edge of the crowd, watched with humbled hearts. They publicly renewed their apology and promised to help replant the burnt section of the field, vowing to never forget the powerful lesson they had learned about responsibility and the consequences of their actions. That night, as the village celebrated, the lights in their homes and the lanterns in the square seemed to shine brighter than ever before. It was the light of a community saved, a community made stronger by crises, and in the heart of every child in that village, a new hero was born. Aalizil's story became a legend, a reminder that it doesn't matter how old you are or how small you feel. One single act of courage, one person choosing to be responsible, can be enough to save countless lives and protect the dreams of an entire community. His bravery became a beacon, lighting the way for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories.